Hello, it's Jackie Schomburg-Minen. Have you ever had a really bad day when you just didn't know what to do and you decided, screw everything, I'm just gonna paint? So this is what I did this week. I've been working on the painting behind me, and it's a piece of canvas stapled up to my wall, and I am playing. I am having a blast. I am throwing paint up there. I've got 6 other little panels that I'm working on, and I wanted to show you my progress from the beginning to the end. And I don't know, let me know what you think. Who knows what this will look like next time you see it, but for right now, I will give you the current process. Okay, before we get started, quick reminder that you can sign up for the free Brave Art and Creative Wellness Zoom workshop that is coming Friday, June 14th. There's one in the morning, there's one in the evening. It should be great for anyone in the US, anyone in Europe, even Australia. You can sign up at JackieSchomburg.com/workshops or click on the link in the upper right-hand corner now. Let me make it very clear. This is the very first time I've ever used unstretched canvas. It is primed with gesso on the inside. You'll see when I open this up. It is a 6-foot roll. You can see that I'm taller than 6 feet. And it is thick. This is like triple thickness. It's from Blick. And my art room is not huge. I think it's about 9 feet by 12 feet, which is great, is a great size. However, I have lots of furniture in here, which does not give me a ton of floor space. So I would have been better off taking this in my living room and moving it around. I had just enough space for this 6-foot wide roll to get between the wall and my chair wheels, as close as I could possibly get my chair to my desk. Anyway, it was a great learning opportunity, and here's me juggling all of my other paintings out of the way. All right, so I'm currently just measuring. I have a yardstick, which is not long enough to measure all the way across. So I'm doing it in bits and pieces to try to get the biggest piece that will fit on my wall. It ended up being 6 feet by about 5.5 feet. And this is me thinking, I'm the only adult in the house. How am I going to hang this up? So I did enlist my husband to help me tighten it after I initially got it on because it was not super tight. I also decided to hang up 6 wood panels from Blick. These are 12 by 12 panels so that I can basically do a series of 7, but 6 of them being 1 foot by 1 foot and 1 of them being giant. I thought I'd go bold, start off with my fluorescent red from Nova Color paints, but my squeeze bottle kept getting jammed. So it wasn't quite as explosive as I had hoped. However, still really fun. I just had to keep unclogging it. Apparently, being in a squeeze bottle without a cap for several years does not help keep your fluorescent red from clumping. I'm sure that many of you are bothered by the panels hanging on one little nail. I thought about putting 2 nails in, but I just wanted to get going, so 1 nail it is. So from time to time, they wiggle and jiggle. I'm using a color shaper just because that's what I had handy. And there's not a lot of thought going into this. This was like a cathartic experience. Just take the squeeze bottle, squeeze it at the wall, smack it down with the color shaper, drag it around the canvas. So much fun, so satisfying. Very fun color to start with. This is just white. I'm doing it while the fluorescent red is still wet intentionally so that the colors start blending a bit. It makes a nice light pink when it mixes with white, when the two colors mix. So I liked getting a little bit of that red each time when I added the white. I had forgotten how much paint it takes to cover a giant canvas. It takes quite a bit of paint. The panels are super smooth. They do not require a lot of paint. Well, again, they're also 12 by 12, 12 inches by 12 inches. The giant panel, giant piece of canvas took a substantial amount of paint. So again, just these little reminders of the differences between working small and working large. Both have their amazing points and both have their, I wouldn't even call them weaknesses. It's just preference differences, right? I prefer one over the other just depending on my mood. It's been like an emotional month for me. There's a lot going on, and there's been scary stuff, there's been trauma, there's been sad stuff, and really happy, beautiful things also. And for me, the full body catharsis of pushing paint around a giant canvas is fantastic. It does give me more oomph than just doing small work. Small work still I prefer over doing no work, no artwork. But there's just something about, right? It's probably just like exercise and anything else, right? When you move your body, it just helps. We're just meant to move, and we forget that as humans. That was a shot of what it looked like when I ended that day. So all this paint now is dry. And I'm coming back in with some more bold colors, or not colors. This is black. Trying to stay free and loose. And I need to up my tools for the large canvas because my looseness was limited by the paint not spreading as far. I needed a lot more paint. So I need to work on that. I do have some giant brushes. I get lazy sometimes because I don't want to wash the giant brushes. And so then I just try and do small brushes for a while, which is fun. This is me hitting the brush against the canvas, which was quite fun. Credit card. When you scale up a painting, it's important to scale up your tools as well, which is something I'm currently working at. I'm making stripes by using the edge of the credit card and pulling up from that black paint rectangle-ish shape. And this is me realizing I just need a lot more black paint. So I'm filling areas in. Sorry that some of it's out of the shot. Again, my room is small. I can only back up so much. And this is me using some masking fluid, which I had already forgotten that I used early on. I wanted to make sure that no matter what happened with the next layers, some of this super, super bright fluorescent red would show through in the very end. So we'll see if I, one, remember to take it off later on. But I'm looking forward to seeing what shows through at the end. There's one of my kids. That's my son Axel. I asked him if he wanted to paint because I'm doing some just base layers. So he chose the turquoise. Then he got some on his lip that I wiped off. And I love that he had no fear whatsoever. Here's a paintbrush, go for it. Now, I don't have to, if you're wondering, if you're working on your own series, I don't need to put every color in all 7 of these paintings. I often do, unless I just can't see it happening, and then I, will leave 1 or 2 out. But color really, really, really helps make things feel cohesive and like a body of work in itself. This is just the phthalo turquoise with some white added. Just change up the values. I was listening to an interview with Brian Rutenberg, who's another artist that does lots of bright colors. He works with really fully saturated colors and makes lots of tree paintings. Really cool. And he was saying how he starts his paintings, he uses like a mid-tone or a mid-value wash, just meaning he picks kind of a medium color. It's not too dark, it's not too light. That way, whenever he adds something on top of it, he can make those areas lighter or darker. When you start with white, like I did, your only option is to make colors darker on top of it because everything is darker than white. Not anything right or wrong with either, but I thought that made a lot of sense to me to start with something mid-tone, because then right away your whites start popping when you add white. So part of the way through this, I went ahead and basically did that with some quinacridone gold. I'll show you that in a minute. This is just some Celadon. Got to keep my Celadon fans happy. And I'm Celadon's #1 fan, so. Just going through these, making different marks on different things. Switching up my brush between colors. This is a smaller brush. It's a paint guide just so I can make some sharp lines, very straight lines, just to add something different. This is where things ended that day. The Celadon looks very strange in that color. It was really tricky with this neon to try to get it to look right in these photos. It's kind of a tricky color to photograph. This is me adding the quinacridone gold in thinner layers. It really, you can see, warms things up right away. I decided to use my spray bottle to get some dots on those. So they had to live on the floor for a minute. And you can see I'm wiping the thin wash on and then also taking some off at the same time. Once I press a paper towel onto those paintings, anything that was still wet, meaning wherever the water dots were, the paint will come off easy, so the colors beneath will shine through. All right, now for the big one. My running title for this painting is just the Big Mama. And again, I'm adding it here with a wet baby wipe in this instance. You can add wet paper towel, a wet rag, and then taking it off or toning it back a bit with a roll of paper towels. And for all of you who are like, why is she making it yellow? Keep the white, keep the white. Don't worry. I add some white back. But this was my kind of mid-painting ode to Brian Rutenberg, thinking, all right, well, let me try this. Let's try adding this mid-ish value and then going back over the things that I'm okay hiding with white so I can tone everything down. Apparently I really wanted to keep those circles. I'm actually using house paint for this. So this is Benjamin Moore house paint, latex house paint, and it's mascarpone is the color name. For those of you who follow Baby G, this is one of her favorite colors that she likes, so I thought I would try it. So I bought a sample last time I was at the paint store, when I actually painted the wall that's behind this canvas. My new little painting wall, had to get some more paint, and I got some of this on the way out. I'm also realizing that I should probably buy bigger quantities of paint if I'm going to be painting bigger things. It's really been a long time since I've painted huge things, especially with lots of layers. More colors, more progress. It is a bit hard to get the colors, for me, to get the colors mapped properly in these videos. So I have included pictures along the way to help you understand what the actual colors are. Not exactly sure why it's been so tricky. I think it's the fluorescent red. I'm lying. I'm pretty sure that's what's causing it. I'm just not sure exactly how to fix it. How's that? That's more accurate. This lavender color I'm using now is actually a mix of the turquoise, the phthalo turquoise, and the fluorescent red. You probably wouldn't expect it, but that's what it is. And the great thing about it, right, if these are somewhat complementary colors, so they will create more of a neutral as they cancel each other out on the extremes. It was a bit sheer. I was hoping it would be more opaque, but it makes sense because the fluorescent red is quite translucent. But I really liked this color, and it's like a warm gray with some violet in there and some lavender. Again, very little thinking has gone on here. This is me. I mean, this is basically process art as I'm going along with just a much larger canvas. I have some visitors. My kids are in there just off camera. All right, this is the same two colors, but with much more of the fluorescent red than turquoise. Wasn't super huge into that color, but it still gave me some more depth. Same thing here, just a redder / pinker color. Mixing, mixing, mixing. There we go. Much more satisfying color for me. And you can see how it's very sheer. You can see the other colors underneath it. Had I had more than enough paint and a giant brush, it probably would go on better. But in that moment, I did not use those things. What I did do, though, when I added this purple, I have different types of catalyst wedges. Some of them have notches on the side, which when you put it down and run it through wet paint will create lines. So this created some stripes for me. And you can see that in the close-up of those 6, which will come up in a little bit after these are all done. Not done. after this color has been added to these 6. How's that? One thing to notice as I was making this, especially the big one, but really all of them, I'm not worried about this being too busy. I'm not worried about all the loose strokes that trail off to nowhere. I'm not worried about colors that don't work out. I'm not really worried about anything, quite frankly. And that is the most fun space to paint in. It takes practice because so many things feel really precious and we put lots of pressure on ourselves. But if you're having a bad week, I cannot think of a better thing to do other than like drive around in your car and scream, sing your favorite songs. That's probably my other favorite thing to do. But painting with no agenda and just putting colors down and just saying, hey, what if I do this here? What if I do this there? You can see the stripes a little better through the purple paint. And this is where it is now, you guys. I am loving this. It feels like a carnival on my wall, which is good because I feel sometimes like I'm a mom of like a 3-ring circus over here. Can't encourage you to paint more often and with more abandon as much as possible. Let me know what you think. Bye.